so where you at? Where you, so where you at?
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Just Kicking It. My name is Olu Jabari, your host. We're located in Sterling Heights, Michigan at 43710 Shaner in Sterling Heights. We're going to have a great guest today, one of my friends, him and his wife. I call them tag team duos, where one falls, the other picks up, and that's the way it's supposed to be. The last 2 weeks we've been off because of the weather and because of the holidays. We do recognize the holidays here at Jabari's Martial Arts, and we appreciate our families. So we're going to get what I call right into the karate sauce. I got one of my great friends here. We've been friends for a very long time. I'm going to have him introduce himself. But first, reach out to me at Just Kicking It, and or justkickitit@gmail.com. Go to Instagram. It is Jabari's Martial Arts, and or Facebook at JMAA, or just type in Olu Jabari. So now we have a husband and wife duo team, been around for a very long time doing this martial arts, but I'm going to let them introduce themselves and we'll get right into the karate sauce. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Bryant, Ishinru Karate, out of the Oxford area for about 25 some years, teaching on my own, other than teaching with my karate instructor prior to that, but been in the arts for many years.
And I'm Lisa Bryant, been in the martial arts since 95.
Wow.
So same thing. We had our school at one time in Oxford for many years, taught many kids through the years, and now they're all grown and making us feel old.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys been around for a while. I've been knowing you for over 20 years. Just going back to tournaments, even when I started doing the martial arts, I wasn't the greatest fighter. I was a forms guy. Mm-hmm. After I fought a couple of times and got beat up, I said, wait a minute, I don't know if I'm supposed to be getting hit this many times, right? So I fought some, I did okay. I think I did well, but I was a tournament type when it comes to that. I did forms and I did some weapons. But however, let's talk about you and your wife and their family. I know Oxford, I've been to Oxford quite so many years to support you and what you do. But the most important part, your history. I looked at your resume and you just gave me a portion of what you do. Yeah. And people use the word impressed. I don't use the word impressed because I know about you. I think that's just a little bit about you and your wife. Just let's go back to when you started martial arts. I mean,
okay.
What year, if you remember what year, or just give me a synopsis of that.
It was 1979.
Wow.
Started the martial arts, went to Pontiac Northern, and they had a Ishinru program at Pontiac Northern that one of the teachers taught.
Okay.
And I didn't attend that, but we had a guest instructor come in, and he was opening up a dojo in the Pontiac area, also was Ishinru. And a couple of the kids that took karate at the school were going to go there, and they're like, would you like to go with us? So I went with them, and the gentleman's name was Todd Charles. Todd Charles said, do you want to go? And he was a little bit older. He had a car, so he came by and picked me up. I remember I still have some of the payments. It was like $25 a month, and I got the little receipts.
Wow.
And I never left. Some of the guys I started with came and went. But I stuck with it since 1979. I haven't really taken any time off.
Wow.
It's even right now where I don't have my own dojo anymore for like the last couple years since COVID kind of hurt us. But I have students that have schools, so I'm still active helping that. And as you know, still pretty strong in the tournament circuit. So so 1979. It was off of Kennett Street in Pontiac, and it was in the basement of a church. So it looked almost like a handball court, if you will. Cement walls, cement floor, brushed concrete. So, you would be down there working out on hard concrete that was ripping your knuckles apart, your feet apart.
Real training.
No gear. You would go home with big blood knots on your legs where you would try to kick somebody and they would block it with their knuckles. And so when gear came around, that was a great thing.
I remember seeing some of you fight, I had an opportunity to judge a lot and watched you fight a couple of times, and would see your wife on the sideline, right, screaming, not only at the judges, but just screaming and like, oh my God, did he do that, right? And we watch not only you and what your school has brought to the sports. Now it's called sports karate. It's a new thing for some folks, but it's been around for years. We just added some seasoning salt to it to enhance the flavor, to invite more schools to get involved. And that's what has happened. Your wife is also into the martial arts. I'm gonna give her an opportunity to talk about when she started, and how was it for you having a husband that's a master in the martial arts, and knowing people always would say they wouldn't probably think that you would do martial arts.
That was pretty much it. He started saying, you know, I want to have my own dojo.
Yes.
So he started in the basement of our house. So Thursday after evenings, here all these kids would just come. You know, our neighbors would be like, "Why are all these people getting dropped off at your house?"
Uh-oh.
So we had it in the basement on Thursday nights and Saturday mornings, and had. You know, it was all our nieces and nephews and their friends, and then the neighborhood friends started coming. And then we moved to a dance school and had the worst days, Friday night and Sunday morning, but still
and ran 25 people.
Yeah, still
Wow.
had people, you know, that was our first, you know, kind of commercial building.
Sure.
And so I was running, you know, the day-to-day, the operating, you know, helping them out. And I think our youngest son was 2. And it was kind of like, everybody was kind of like, when are you going to start? When are you going to start? So I started. It was, you know, can't beat them, join them. And so that was like 95.
Wow.
And, you know, first time I had to fight, I was scared to death because I was like, oh, I'm going to get hit. But I fell in love with it too.
Okay.
And we started doing tournaments, you know,
Right.
And I was kind of like the karate mom.
That's right.
You know, making sure all the kids were coached or someone was in the right ring. And then I had to go, you know, and fight my fight. I was not the kind of girl. I liked the fighting.
Oh, okay.
And so that's kind of how it started. And just moved up through the ranks and teaching myself, you know, teaching the kids. I took over the kids' classes.
Okay.
My little 5-year-old, all my little babies. And
Love them.
Yeah, we had 13 world champions out of our school in Oxford, or 13 different divisions that we placed in. Some kids placed multiple times, but we had 13 of them. And out of all the kids that were world champions and most of our state champions, all started in our 5 and under program. And they all came up through Lisa. So by the time they got to me, it was funny because I remember one time, you know, little Nick and Justin used to train with me, the 2 little twins, and which one is 2 years older than the other, but they look like twins. But so we went to they moved up into the regular karate class.
So they're with the class.
So they're with like the 8 and over, and they're like 6 years old, but they've been with us for a while. So they get in there and it's spar night. So I get the 8-year-olds and I pull the 8-year-olds off to the side and I said, you know, they have colored belts on. You guys don't have colored belts on, but you're 2 years older. You're much bigger. You're much stronger. You have to take it easy on these kids. Well, these 6-year-olds are beating the crap out of the 8, 9, and 10 years old. I mean, they're just putting the boots to them. So finally I walk over and I tell the bigger kids, I'm like, fight them back. You know, but they're still like little babies. But what they learned from Lisa coming up through, it was amazing that you don't think that a 5 or a 6-year-old is going to catch on, or if it's going to, and then you watch them, it's like, wow. Yeah, you can tell they've trained for 2 years and the other kid hadn't, you know, and so.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
I want to go back to when you talked about training, you know, with the rough cement floor, because that's how I came up training in the 70s with Marvis Cofield. I've only had one instructor, thank God for that, my whole life. But we trained the way you train. You know, we had the brick floor. There was no paint, the brick walls, right? We didn't have all this nice stuff on our floor. We didn't have tile, right? And then I can recall tournaments, if you remember, we didn't have none of this.
No.
Right? And we'd be lucky if we had a gym floor.
Yeah.
Right? Because I did tournaments on the cement floor, and I know you have.
Hockey, yeah.
Hockey,
Old
right?
Hockey.
Remember that?
They melt the ice, get the ice out of there, and you're on the cement floor, and it smelled god-awful nasty from all the sweat. And it was,
Not all the fancy gear that we have sitting on the table here, and this is probably old. Now that's some more stuff. But I want to go back because you yourself, along with your wife, you couldn't do one without the other because this is what makes a couple. And not only that makes a team. You yourself, through Ishinru and some other, you have other instructors, you became a world champion at doing a lot of things. But your students emulate that very well. So let's go back to, your first world championship.
Well, my first world championship was in Ireland, and I believe it was, I have to look it up right here real quick. It was, I'm not remembering.
2018?
Yeah, 2018.
Okay.
And at the time, it came later in life, so I'm fighting in the 48 and over. I wish they would have had this when I was younger and coming up. And I thank Master Plowden every chance I get about what he's doing in the martial arts community. And we were sitting in Portugal, and he looks at me and he goes, "Did you ever think karate would bring us here?" You know what I mean? And the thing is, when we talk about WKC and we talk about world champion, there's 22 other countries there.
Yes.
It's not like these organizations that say, "Hey, I'm a world champion. I had to fight a guy from Florida. I had to fight a guy from Chicago."
Right.
No, you're fighting a guy from Ireland. You're fighting a guy from Italy. You're fighting the best from another country.
Yes.
And not to say that one's any better than the other, but it just means something when you get to win and then you hear your national anthem, and it's just a great thing, right?
Yeah.
So with me, I competed a few years earlier with my son, placed a couple bronze medals, had some silver medals in the world championships, won many national titles, but kind of got cocky one year, and it was a year before I won my world title. It was in Florida. I was training a lot of people, but I wasn't training myself.
Got you.
And so went to Florida. I entered and was able to compete in the heavyweight division for the 48 and over. Got to the gold medal round and didn't have it. It was... To me, it was an embarrassment to me because I got winded, and about a minute into the fight, the second round, you go 2 rounds. I did real well. I was winning the first round. Second round rolls around, and I had to fight a Canadian prior to that. And funny, the gentleman that I fought, we got to be really good friends, and he helped train me for the next year. And he's teaching me what the Canadians will do. They'll clinch with you and they'll pull down on your neck and they drain all the energy out of you. So it's just a technique that they do. If they're going to lose, you're not going to beat the next Canadian.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So they're helping each other.
Gonna be drained.
So I get out there, I'm moving around pretty good. I'm hitting him with some stuff, and then I just lose it. And I'm waiting for a break. I'm just waiting for a break so I can quit. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a quitter," or whatever. But it's kind of like, that what's going to happen. I'm not going to stay in there and just let the guy beat the crap out of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they say break because the helmet falls off. I high-five the guy and said, "You win." And he's like, "What?"
What? Right.
He goes like, "What?" I go, "You win." He goes, "You're beating me. You're going to get a gold medal." I go, "No." I said, "This next minute and a half, you're going to beat the snot out of me, and I'm not going to feel too good." And it's funny because I was talking to my mom, and she goes, "You haven't been training. You're not going to do that well. Promise me if you think that something's happening." So mom knows best type of thing.
Of course.
But I was so embarrassed that I did that because that's not my DNA. But I told myself the next year that I was going to win gold. I lost 50 pounds. I got into the best shape of, my senior division life and went out and won a gold medal.
Wow.
Fighting better competitors, because that was in Ireland at the time. If you're doing continuous sparring over in Europe, that's what they do. Here in the U.S., we really emphasize and focus on point sparring.
Correct.
We have some of the best point sparring around. So even here, if you were to win a world title here, not taking anything away from that, but you're fighting point fighting guys that are doing continuous. Over in Europe, you're fighting continuous guys that practice kickboxing all the time.
Wow.
So it takes it to another level. So I went to their area and beat them there. So that was a big accomplishment for me to finally win at that. Especially when you have one of your best friends in karate, Harris Edwards, that won 14 times. Right?
16 times.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Harris Edwards was here, and funny you said that because he mentioned you.
yeah.
And he said, yeah, I watched him and I was like, wow, he's going to do this. But he said in your mind, you was like, But the good part I like about this conversation is that you not only, lived it, but you lived it through your students,
Yes.
you lived it through your wife, your family, your kids and everybody. But the support that you have, is phenomenal, right? We think about where we started from, we were just giving tournaments and then we became a family just giving tournaments, trying to bring people closer together. Like you mentioned, Richard Plowden, and there are other people who are part of this that are going to be here next week, but you're part of creating an MSKC, which I was a part of when it first started off, but now has gotten so big. We were at a tournament, last weekend, Scott Gorham, and it was great to see that many people come out to support what came out of MSKC.
Yes.
For those who don't know, they need to know the story about sports martial arts. Sports martial arts was in MSKC, Michigan Sports Karate Circuit. So it was on the move, but it wasn't what we wanted it to be or where you needed it to be. But out of that concept, from you giving tournaments, being part of that foundation in history, now we look at, like you say, your son, you look at the children, you look at those who are giving tournaments, those who are running them. We can literally walk around now and relax.
Oh, yeah.
I was there checking out Chris, jamming and doing everything. I'm like, this is the way it's supposed to be. So let me get back to you and Lisa, because you were one of the people I know when I came into the sport, kind of took me in and was like, hey, yeah, you can do this. You want to give a tournament with us? Yeah, let's sit down and talk about it. And I'm like, He's like, yeah, you got enough people. Come on, do it. And I was like, I'm not doing that, right? I just want to teach. But you were very inspirational in a lot of people's lives in the martial arts, not just your own students, but there are people who respect you and Lisa and your school not because of just who you are, but what you've done. You've always called it like you see it. You've always jumped in and helped out. You're always everywhere you need to be. And I've never really seen you tell a person no when it comes to this art, but I have seen you jump in, help out, and you don't flaunt what you've accomplished through God, right?
Yeah.
A lot of folks do that, right? They wear outfits or they wear stuff saying who I am.
Yeah.
I've never seen you do that. I read your resume, which your bio. It shows all the accomplishments, all the dons that you've gotten through these instructors and people you train with that people wish or only dream they can train with.
Yeah.
Can you mention a few of those people?
Yes. I started training, like I said, 1979 out of a gentleman named Randy Mosier. And Randy was from Pontiac as well. His first dojo was in Pontiac. Then he moved to the Waterford area. I was with him for many years, and sadly, he passed away early in life. He passed away at about the age of 30,
Wow.
38 years old. He was a mammoth of a man. He had, 22-inch biceps. He was a big weightlifter. But it's kind of sad in a way because I feel if he would have stayed alive, I hate to say this, and people are going to be mad at me, especially people that came from Randy, but if he would have been alive, it would have hurt my growth because he didn't like certain people.
Gotcha.
And when he didn't like those people, I couldn't talk to him because that's the way it was back then. It wasn't like, hey, I like Olu. And then Randy would go, you can't talk to him because he did this to me or he did that to me. So
Gotcha.
like we were talking, him and Jaime Shirato, they would get along and they wouldn't get along. When they weren't getting along, I couldn't go to Jaime Shirato school and help out or do anything, right? So great man. He taught me so much about just being afraid of people. Growing up in, the late 70s and the early 80s and going to Pontiac Northern, it was tough. It was a tough situation. And here I am, I'm going to a martial arts school where the guy is 22 years old. I'm 15 years old. He's got 22-inch arms. He's knocking me all over the place, but he's not knocking me out. So now I go to school, and then you got some 15-year-old, 16-year-old punk kid telling you he's going to beat you up, and you're like going,
oh, yeah.
no, you're not big enough. You know what I mean? You better bring it. And and there would be times where, like, the way it was back then, Randy would be mad at somebody in the class.
Okay.
And he'd walk over to you and he'd say, I want you to beat the snot out of this guy tonight. Now, this guy is like part of a motorcycle gang. He's missing teeth. He's got long hair. Probably been 2 weeks since he took a shower.
Wow.
And he's a big biker guy. I'm 15 years old. And I'm like, you want me to do what? He says, yeah, you're going to take this guy out tonight. So we'd be sparring, and I would do my thing with the guy, and then Randy would just look at me. But then that taught me, it goes, people are people.
Yes.
You look at some people, and the reason that they try to look tough and the reason that they try to wear the different things that they wear and stuff like that is to intimidate you.
Yes.
And then you find out, at an early age, at 15 years old, you just go, I don't care what the guy looks like. He's still inside. He's still a man. And he still has to beat you. And if you're prepared, so that's what Randy taught me, because I don't think a lot of instructors back then would have. Well, back then they all did that, right?
Yeah,
nowadays it's not, right? So, so from when Randy passed away, I started training with a gentleman by the name of Wesley Googler. Wesley Googler was a big name, probably 20 years before that, in the Waterford, Pontiac area. And he trained by a gentleman, Norbert Donnelly. Okay. And Norbert Donnelly was one of the best sport karate guys around back in those days. And he trained with Willie Adams.
Willie Adams.
And not under Willie, but with Willie and Bill Pogue and names like that. So he came up through, and I trained with him for quite a while. And then I don't know what it was, but he kind of just got fed up with the martial arts, and he quit teaching.
Wow.
So, so I went without an instructor for a few years, and then I had a gentleman training with me by the name of Tom Ross. And Tom Ross, when he started training with me, it's like, I have an uncle that trains in the martial arts. You ever hear that? One of your students is telling you they got an uncle.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like my uncle's probably better than you, and my uncle can do this, and my uncle can do that. And I'm like going, yeah, whatever. Everybody's got an uncle, you know. And then 6 months later, did I ever tell you that I got an uncle in karate? I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then about a year later, he comes up to me and goes, my uncle's in town. He goes, he'd like to stop by. I go, let him stop by. Tell him to bring his gear. We can do this. We can have it. So he's like, okay. So Tom Ross invites his uncle over, which is Bert Ross, a master of Ishinryu karate.
Which he failed to mention.
Which he forgot to mention. He's a master in my style.
Wow.
And so he walks in with his instructor, another master of our style, and Tom Perry.
Okay.
Which is a master of our style. Now, never having a master in my dojo before.
Gotcha.
In through the parking lot comes these three guys, and my heart just went, whoa. You know what I mean? And so they come in, and Bert Ross comes in, and these guys are asking me questions and talking. Now, Tom had knew me from the circuit, so he's telling these guys, Jeff's the real deal. He's one of Randy Mosier's original black belts and this, that. So he already gave him a good, a good reference for me, So they walk in and they're like, just run your class like you normally do. And I said, no, this is you guys tonight. You guys do what you want to do.
Respect.
And it's funny because they took my class through some different things, and Bert Ross was one of my girls, Hannah, she was on the karate circuit. And I prided myself from being a Japanese stylist, but my kids kicked like Koreans. My kids could kick with the Taekwondo people and the Tang Soo Do people. So Bert had asked her, like, what's your favorite kick? And she says, just a flip kick, it's pretty good. And he was trying to be funny, and he says, kick my hand. And she, boom, 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 smacking his hand. And he just looked and he looks at me and I go, yeah, I said, we kick like Koreans here.
Wow.
And So when they left, knowing that I didn't have an instructor, they were starting an organization, and they wanted me to head up the Michigan part of that organization, which was the United Okinawan Budo Association. So I came under Bert Ross's direction.
Beautiful.
And he was a great man. But with that, though, Tom Perry was still like my Michigan connection to those guys. So I really thought, even though like all my promotions and stuff would go through Bert Ross, Tom Perry was still like a dad to me. I love Tom Perry. And then Bert got kind of like in a motorcycle accident because he was sick. And when he was sick, they found out that he is riddled with cancer, and he passed away shortly after that. So with that, we all kind of fell underneath a gentleman by name of Jim LaRocco. And Jim LaRocco was from the Cincinnati area. He was an Ishinryu practitioner that trained under Ungi Uezo himself. So you had Tatsu Shimabuku was the founder of Ishinryu, and Ungi Uezo, which was the son-in-law and took over a branch of Ishinryu when he passed away. So that was a direct lineage there.
Wow.
And trained under that Mr. LaRocco and his organization for a while. And then these guys are all older, right? That's the thing about us right now. We just talked about it. I'm getting ready to turn 60. So the guys that I've trained with were in their 80s, possibly 90s. So they started passing away, right? So Master LaRocco passed away. And when that happened, we had promoted Tyrone Milton to be kind of like our master of our organization here in Michigan. And so Master Milton and Master Tom Perry kind of were instruments of where I was going. But during that time, I met up with Craig Gilmore.
Oh, yeah. Familiar with Craig Gilmore.
Yeah. Well, I get choked up when
I understand. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we loved Gilmore.
Yeah, who didn't?
Yeah. So he was more like a brother.
Yeah.
We didn't go anywhere without each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, he passed away of a bad battle with cancer.
Yep.
So, and then Tom Perry just passed away. So all of our greats are going away. So that's where we need to be stepping up and be that for our guys, right? So
For sure.
Yeah.
That type of training, that type of relationship, those are so many things you can't get back. You can't get it. You can't pay for it.
Yep.
It's not going to be available to us. But the spirit of what these guys did is just phenomenal. Lisa, you had a chance to be there and witness all this, and I know you understand how we feel about Mr. Gilmore.
Oh, yeah.
Perry, all these other great folks who have passed through the art. And that's what it takes. When we're doing this, the husband and wife team, I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what a team is when you have a husband and wife, how much support you need.
Right.
Both sides. Because even with me doing this and you doing this for years, you can't do it alone.
No.
Right? You're giving some of the best tournaments we've ever been to. We're one of the forerunners in giving tournaments, not only in Michigan, but abroad. But we also have to respect how you didn't have a problem with other people going out and, teaching what you taught them. Because I always say, like me, what more can I teach but what I've been taught?
Yeah.
Some folks take stuff and flip it and call it something else. No, you can't teach stuff that you haven't been taught. So I don't care what you call it.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
And you've been honorable to that point of just giving it your all. And Lisa, I want you to chime in here and just, his struggles is your struggles, is your family struggles. And I know, my relationship with you two is just family friend, right? You've always been hospitable. You've always been business minded when you need to, but you always carried yourselves in a way like we knew that was a team, right? Right. When I saw him at every tournament, oftentimes, especially when you're giving one, she'd be right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, Olu, come on in. Oh, no. Don't waste your time doing that. Just come on in. You know, right? She wouldn't do that to everyone, but I was happy because I built that relationship, right?
Right.
And I would just jump in and say, hey, what you need me to do? You need me to sit down? You need me to take nothing? What you need me to do? She'd say, no, just go in. Just waiting on you. You got a ring all set up. I'm like, you got a ring already set up? So I'm saying that to say that, you know, the Gilmores and the Perrys and all these people, even Brother Kalinde and all these people that we, you know, that are going, and you just mentioned something that's more important as we get to the ending. We got about 3 minutes. We have to step up. We have not stepped up like we should have, right? Yep. The other part is you have people now that are teaching. And when I see them teaching, I see that. I see you in them. I see it because it's all the same.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, wow. When people see students, they be like, yeah, one of Jeff Bryant's students is like, yeah, that's one of his students. Now his students got students that's got students. Yep. So you've done that and you understand that. So Lisa, how do you feel? How do you feel about all of this? How are you taking all this in on these last 20, 25 years? You
know, my favorite part was, I mean, like I said, I love teaching the kids. I used to tease them a little bit, and because kids get 4 or 5 years old, they can get like sassy and cocky, you know, like, oh, I just won. And I would not allow that. But then in the same sense, I wouldn't allow them to be like a crybaby either. Okay. I used to say, nope, there's no crying. There's no crying. You know, you can't cry. If you lose, you can't be doing backflips. Like, you can go over and celebrate afterwards, but you have to show good sportsmanship. Yeah. So the parents would, you know, want to come in there and baby them. I'm like, they're not hurt. They got maybe a little kick in the shin.
That's right.
We're going to rub it off. It's fine. Let's go. So, but in the sense of that, it was, the parents, I think, respected that I didn't like necessarily baby them. Yes. I'm like, this isn't ballet. It's karate.
Yes.
So, but I liked, you know, that we were earning the respect, and I earned respect just from being like Mrs. Bryant. They'd be like, oh, you're Master Bryant's wife, right? You know, especially if I maybe came into a tournament.
You'd get upset like going to Mike Gibbs' tournament, and you'd have a guy working at the concession stand, and he looked at a guy. He looked at a guy one time, and he said, "Give her what she want. That's Bryant's old lady," or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, what? He just opened up a can of worms."
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Right.
I told her, see, you get a free hot dog from knowing me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perks from knowing me.
Perks.
Yeah.
But, so it's funny, just like you said, just the name of Bryant's Karate and, you know, from others, from scorekeepers, from other instructors, things like that maybe didn't know me that well. But I was always, you know, on the sidelines coaching and things like that for my kids. But it became a family thing. Like our family, I mean, our whole entire family, we would get the son-in-law, the daughter-in-law, everybody had to work the tournament, you know, and but then the parents became our friends, became our family. I mean, we said a karate family. I tried to explain. They're like, whose wedding are you going to? I'm like, one of our karate kids is you know. Right. They're like, what? And, you know, yeah, we've known them for, I mean, Justin and Nick that we talk about, they're 21 and 23 now, you know, and they both went to Michigan State. See? And when that shooting happened, you know, Austin, who's our son, who's a police officer, was heading there, and the first thing he did is he texted them and said, I'm going to be there. Let me know if you need me. Wow. You know? So we established that like bond over the years. So that was what was so important to me. And that's what I miss. You know, I miss those kids so much, and, you know, but we just have like such great memories. Yeah. And it's a lot. We were such a, you know, an intricate part of their life for so long, and theirs in ours. So it is, you know, people just take it for granted sometimes. Yeah. Your story is there. We're going to end, but I do want to end with Jeff giving us, or either of you giving us just a tad bit. And we want to push karate school, sports karate. You know, the key here is to open up a new can of worms and say that martial arts has grown, definitely in Michigan, where it's the hottest martial arts sports karate in the world to me. Yeah. Right. And now, since you've been a part of that foundation, it's opened up arenas for kids who would normally not do karate because honestly, people found it boring.
until we got a little bit more excited and growing the ages and growing the divisions. And now we're all starting to get on the same page.
Yeah.
Thanks to you, Lisa, and other folks, it's opened up. So the school, if you want to, we always want to shout out schools. So definitely where they're teaching, if you know where they're teaching, there's a way to reach out to them. We can push people that way. How do we reach out to them? Is there like an email or address or something?
Yeah, just like we were talking about the next generation and stuff. And I've had a lot of, been putting most of my energy and stuff into Matt and Andrew Rydell.
Yes.
They have Double Dragon Karate in Birch Run, Michigan. And what I've done is I've had the Michigan Sport Karate tournament, Michigan Sport Karate Open for many years. And what I've done is the last 2 or 3 years is I've let them co-promote it with me.
Okay.
This is the first year where they're doing it on their own.
Awesome.
And I'm stepping back because I'm still involved, I'm still doing things, but we need that next generation to take over. And so that would be it. Double Dragon Karate,
Okay.
Birch Run, Michigan. Then you have another, you have Adam Perry, Ishinru.
Right.
He's out of Warren, the Warren Rec Center.
Actually where I live, Arden, he's on Arden Road.
Yes.
Yep.
So there's quite a bit of Ishinru around. But the thing I like best about sport karate is what you're also talking about, open karate. Gentleman sitting next to me is a Taekwondo master. I'm Ishinru. In the old days, we couldn't do this.
Absolutely not.
They wouldn't like it. It would be very frowned upon.
Sure.
That we would, and that's what I love best about open sport karate is you get to see people of other styles, and people always ask me, what style is better than this style or what, this and that. And I go, there are no bad styles. There's just bad people.
There you go.
And and then again, there's no real good style neither. There's just good teachers and good people, right? So like we had talked a little bit before, like open karate, and I would bring people in. I had many people from different schools that would come train from me, but I really pushed my people to do different things because when we got into continuous sparring, I sent my guys to go train with boxers. I wasn't afraid that they were going to become boxers. They were my people. So they would go, they would learn their hand techniques from a boxer, and they would come back and help out. I would send Rain Fredericks to go train with, he started training with Willie. I don't know why it's hitting me. I can't remember Willie's last name.
Willie Hicks? No.
Willie Hicks, yes. He was training with Willie Hicks and Askia Allison.
Yeah.
Very good martial artist, more like his size. And they taught him a lot of stuff. And I think that that's what you do. There's people out there that are good people. Don't hold your people back. Let them go train with other people.
I like that.
And don't be everybody's afraid to, like you said, it's like, I don't need him to go train with this person because I know it all. I don't know it all. I know a lot about Ishinru, but I still don't know it all in Ishinru after 40 some years, right? So there's still stuff for me to learn. So you need to go different places and learn different things, but learn other styles, see what they have to do, make friends. Open karate, you see that? We have a lot of old timers that really put down sports martial arts.
Yes, I'm familiar.
I just laugh when I look on, and Richard told me to quit commenting on it because he would say, Jeff, can't teach an old dog new tricks. They're just going to be that way. You're too passionate.
Yeah.
But I just start laughing because it's not traditional karate. It's not the same, right? So they're trying to grade it like it is, but they don't understand these people that are doing sport karate do traditional karate, and they do it very well too. But they're doing a different type of karate where sport karate, like they always say, point karate is tag. My original instructor, Randy Mosier, told me that because of the style of dojo that we were, really stand in front of each other and bang it out, that I would never be any good at point karate. And, I've won international titles and state titles in point karate, continuous karate, which is more like we did then. I've won a world title. But You can do whatever you set your mind to. You just have to train it. And the thing is back in those days, like Randy would say, let them know you were there. If it's point karate and you know you're going to lose, just bang it with them and let them know you're there.
There you go.
Well, after a while, letting them know you're there and losing $35, $40 every time you go, it's like, well, if you're not going to go there, and it's a game.
That's true.
But if you're going to play the game to win.
That's it.
Train with the people that are best. Find out what they're doing. Mimic what they're doing. And do that, right?
I like it.
But you don't pay your money and go in there and say, all right, I knocked this guy out, or I broke his orbital bone, and what good is that? That's not what sport karate's all about. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, I just love sport karate.
Well, I'm glad. Well, again, this is Olu Jabari, and I'm sitting here with Brian and Jeff and Lisa Bryant. Some of the forerunners and I call them the foundationers of sports karate. Part of that, and we talk about Richard Plowden and other folks, and you talk about going to other schools. Richard Plowden does a Friday night fight. I send my students there.
Yeah.
People do workshops on weapons. We got Teresa here now doing weapons.
Oh, great.
She comes in on Wednesday and Thursdays and does a free class,
okay.
Right? So the thing is to stretch out and understand that there are many schools, and we want you to visit as many schools as you can, learn as much as you can, bring some back, teach other people, and invite other folks. Absolutely. So again, for you were saying, Lisa?
I said absolutely.
Okay, yep. So again, for Just Kicking It, I want to thank Jeff and Lisa for coming out, and Sport Karate Gurus, but they are in this to win this. And before we leave, I saw a comment.
Oh, you were just mentioning about going places to train. Just make sure you tell your instructor you're going.
I like that, right?
Yeah, you don't go anywhere to train without letting your instructor know that you're going, just out of respect for your dojo.
Like it.
And because that's your home, And if they have a problem with you going there, you have to respect that. And you have to do what your sensei says.
At least
and sometimes you're not going to agree with it. But
yeah. And when they don't agree, sometimes they'll just have to find another home. So, and out of respect, we have to do it that way. It's very respectful. You always ask, and not only that, I allow my students to do it every week because I think that they should get out, they should spread their wings. But the most important part is that we're preparing somebody to take our places. I don't want to do this forever. Jeff and Lisa is a great example of how we can move this forward and watch our children grow, because that's how the sports grow. It doesn't grow if we stay in it. We can stay in it from afar, from an advisory capacity, right?
Yes.
We can run other stuff in other countries now.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So again, I'm Olu Jabari from Just Kicking It. My guests, Jeff and Lisa Bryant, two of my friends, family, love them to death. Make sure you visit Double Dragon.
Double Dragon, yes.
Birch Run area. Also go out and check out at the Warren Community Center over on Arden Road in Warren, Michigan. You can visit that school there. Ishinru there? Are they doing Ishinru there?
Ishinru, yeah.
Ishinru there. And if you can't get to them, find a karate school near you and support them. Ask questions. Again, reach out to us at justkickdem@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram. And again, Lisa, Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
This is up.
Where you, so where you at? Where you, so where you at? Where you, so where you at? Where